Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage of the IAE 2954 Expo. Today is a really exciting day. It's RSI Day. There's going to be quite a few vehicles to look at, and in particular the RSI Polaris, which we did a longer video already on the channel, so I'm going to try to be a bit quick with it, and I think we're going to do that one last. Save the best for last. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. One thing to know is that RSI stands for Robert Space Industries, which is the name of the website. And it's also named after the main director and designer of the game, Chris Roberts. So naturally it has to be a pretty decent and high quality manufacturer. And I think you'll find that they actually have quite a few decent ships on offer. After this long elevator ride. More commercials always on the streams. And the track we can already see it poking through because it's such a large vessel right there, but that's the Polaris, which we'll be saving for last. But it's flanked by these two Zeuses. The Zeus is a new I wouldn't call it a starter, it's like a step beyond a starter, but it's still a pretty early sort of shuttle design. Now there's actually 3 versions of it, but only 2 of them are currently in game. The Zeus ES, which is the exploration model, and then the Zeus oh god, what is it called? I think it's a CL? Yeah, Zeus CL. That's the cargo version. So we're gonna start with the ES, and then we'll see the differences with the design with the cargo version. So it does have a lower turret here, and it does have these guns up front. I will mention the one version that's not in the game. It's called the Zeus MR. It's the bounty hunting version, and it actually features a second turret up top. So if you're looking for more combat power, that's the version you're looking for, but not currently in game. So we board the ship one of 3 ways. Or wait, one of 3 ways actually. So we have the rear entrance, this interesting ladder hatch, which we'll look at in a minute, and the airlock. So here's the cargo section. Now, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of cargo space here, right? These kind of sections kind of jut in, and you just kind of have limited space back here. But these hold all the components behind these doors. Also, there's some really good use of glass on these ships. So, like, here's an example where there's a glass cutout that lets us see the fuel tank underneath. As we move forward, we're gonna reach the habitation here. First of all, there's a nice comfy couch, and even the walls seem pretty comfy. Little cupboard. These are lockers for storage of your items. So each of the 3 members of the crew can have their own storage. And here are the 3 beds. And then above this bed, there's just extra space for putting little display objects, little collectible things we found in the verse. And then we have the bathroom here. It's pretty clean, but it is pretty cramped, of course. That's how these bathrooms are. Shower, and then the toilet pops out. Pretty standard. Well, we come across here, there's a nice use of a window here, and this lets you see the mess hall. Or, just call it, let's say, the kitchen area. It's got a lot of fridge space, like one over here, and then also a nice refrigerator over here. A nice sizable sink. Just overall, it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. And especially when you include this window here, which again is not a feature you see a lot on ships these days, sadly, but it's very, very good. It just feels comfy. And even these hallways are not very claustrophobic. If you think about the Intrepid, which recently released, it feels very claustrophobic, but this sort of upside down triangular design, it just gives you more of a feeling of space. So here we have a weapon rack, some rifles, some tools, whatever you need. As we go forward, we have the engineering section, you could call it, where we have the fuses, various doors to hide the components. Very, very fancy. I love this sort of little display. Even if it's pointless, it looks great. We also have the extra entrances here. I think these airlocks don't open on these display ships. Yeah, this one's not opening. But there is this cool ladder access, and we'll use this for a second. This is what we need on the MSR, and I'm fairly sure that we're gonna get it eventually. But look how convenient it is. Like, we're instantly out of the ship, and let's say we had landed to do a quick combat mission and we're ready to go. We just come right over here, and then we just access the ladder, and we're right into the ship. And not just any part of the ship, but right next to the cockpit right here. So before we get there, we have 3 suit lockers, one for each of the crew. Looks nice. We have more gun racks, including space for an extra large, like a railgun or a missile launcher. More components here. And then this really cute bridge cockpit layout with 3 seats. And if you let your eyes wander down, these are actually the missiles behind this glass here. So if you were going to fire missiles, if you were actually just standing here, you'd actually see them shoot out directly from here. Which is very, very cool, very fancy. And the view is actually pretty decent. It does have these metal struts on the sides, but if you look down, you have exceptional views in the ship. And the view straight ahead, it looks very similar to a ship called the Scorpius, a heavy fighter that we're going to look at later. And then this design has also been brought to the Polaris, which we'll see at the end. But a very, very fancy vessel. And I believe we'll get a holographic display in the middle, which is the radar. So it's not a huge vessel, but definitely a step up from a starter ship. Now let's wander over to the CL version, and we can see the little bit of a difference on the interior. They actually squash the habitation and the kitchen in order to give you even more cargo space, and I think it's totally worth it. Usually if you're doing a cargo ship, you really do want as much cargo space as you can get. And immediately as you come in here, it just feels larger, feels spacious. And that's because these sections here no longer jut inwardly. Normally this whole section would be covered. And then you also get this sort of interesting display standing porch area. Anyway, as we come into the habitation, you can see the couch is gone, And also the walls have lost the cushioning material. So that's pretty much the only change in this room. The rest is the same. Also, we lost a little cubby hole on the side. And then we come to the kitchen. The sink is smaller. Everything's brought forward a bit. And you can see now we lost the second refrigerator. But, oh, we also lost the window into the kitchen. Because everything's just been squashed forward. We can kind of tell. But at least we have a window to the outside from here, which is nice.
I tell you, there's nothing like being at the IAE.
And everything forward of this is pretty much identical here. So we're gonna go ahead and exit the ship. Alright, now let's go ahead and head downstairs for a minute and see what we have in store for us there. I believe we're gonna see the Ursa rovers, which are a pretty common ground vehicle. I would call them a staple of ground travel. So there's 3 versions. Let's look at it from over here for a second. So we have the default, which is kind of the best actually, the medical version, and then the luxury version. So starting with the default loadout, first of all you have a door on the side. It's very easy to go in and out, no animation needed. But we also have access in the back here, which is nice. And it's especially nice because you can tell the ground has this gravity plating. So these chairs can basically be flipped upward, and then this entire space can be just used for cargo. And then it has, I believe these are supposed to be weapon racks here. And then it has a locker here. I think this is supposed to be a suit locker, but obviously it's missized. I believe this is because this vehicle is pretty old. It was made a long time ago and has been in the game for quite a while. But no matter. We have 2 seats, the driver's seat and a passenger seat. But the passenger seat, if you have somebody here, they can use the turret. Otherwise, if that seat is empty, the driver actually can use the turret themselves while they're driving. It just automatically is in your control. And there's really, really good visibility in here, I have to say. Even looking up, which is weird because you really don't need to in a ground vehicle like this. But it's really good. So look at this. Holds 4 back here, 2 up here, that's 6. That's a lot. I mean, this thing is pretty much all you need for transporting you and your party, your team. But let's say you have medical needs. Maybe somebody is constantly bleeding and they need to be brought to like a fancy medical center. That's what this is for, I would say. Now currently in game, we use these for respawning. Even though this is, for example, the lowest tier of medical bed, tier 3. But that will be changed someday, I believe. It does have a weapon rack here, which is nice. But unlike the... Oh wait, here's the storage. You know, patient storage, so the patient can put their stuff away. But yeah, unlike the Pisces, there's no area underneath for your food and medical supplies. But no big deal, it's just a vehicle. It has 1 seat for like a doctor, let's call it. Here's where you would input the material for doing healing. Yet to be in game. So these both say component access, but this one, I don't know what components would go here. And It almost kind of looks like a little science station, doesn't it? So I don't know what's going to be up for that. The rest is the same. And then we have the luxury version, the Lynx. It also has the guns, just like the other ones have it. But it's missing the rear access. You only get aboard the ship from the door here. But it still has the gun racks. And now they're covered with like glass. You also have buttons for getting the storage and the components. It also has a nice little glass display for your items. Maybe your food items you place there. It actually comes with a ice bucket, and there's a champagne here, but somebody's obviously looted that and taken it. Now these chairs are interesting, and you can pull out these displays as well. So these chairs are actually designed in such a way where you push a button and you rotate the chair. That maybe it's finicky on this display model. But kind of like how that chair is rotated, you can either rotate to look straight ahead or look this way to the side. Perfect for a VIP on the go. Right there, look, now it turned. Just as I was getting out. It's like motorized turning, which is very fancy. Everything here is the same, except there's even more visibility, which is insane. And then things just look a little bit fancier, high-tech. But if you're looking to like tour around, and so you really want this glass to see through, then that's what this is for. But overall, this is the worst version, since you can't really take any boxes, and the back doesn't open, yada yada, but all of them have a turret at least. Alright, let's see what we have in the display hall for the future. Okay, so this is a fan favorite ship right here. This is the Perseus. I believe these are size 7 guns, maybe size 8, something like that. Special bespoke cannon guns. And there's some down here as well. Very powerful. By doing it this way, both the turrets can fire directly forward or left or right. So very, very nice design. But what's special about these turrets is that they can actually change their ammo type on the fly. At least that's what we believe the whole situation is. So like imagine you take on the shields. So you apply an EMP ammo, which like does like an electrical charge, and now you're doing bonus shield damage. But then maybe that's gone now, and then you swap to a like an explosive shot, which goes more direct damage to the hull, or maybe you have just a strong piercing one for getting to the components. You know, we don't know exactly what the ammo types are going to be, but the idea is that you're going to rotate through them to do whatever you need. It has a cockpit at the top, or I should say bridge. This is really a bridge. But it's not that many people of a crew for the ship. There's, I think like 4 or 5 crew for this. This is actually the side entrance, and it can also hold a vehicle, I believe, or a small amount of cargo. But the main thing is that this is heavily armored. This should be significantly smaller than the Polaris, which we'll look at the end, but still a pretty large ship overall. The thing is just gonna pack a punch with those turrets, so It's gonna be great. Here we have the Galaxy. This is a modular version of a sub-capital ship. You can see it's got remote turrets on the sides. Remote turret underneath. Its whole back section opens up, and there's a limited space here for a Pisces ship. But then underneath there's a whole section that basically is carved out and replaced depending on what module that you're using. Currently, there's not too many modules available. There's a cargo module, refueling module, and medical module, but more modules are planned, including a construction module for building outposts and things. But that's for the future, especially since the ship isn't even in the game yet. But it should have a very fancy bridge. From the images, it looked really nice. So, you know, it's just an overall modular, large sort of ship. So, we have yet to see how nice it is in game, but it is a pretty cool design. Here we have the Arastra. Side effects of Arastra include... Now, but being serious, this is a mining ship. Let's have very powerful direct mining thingies. And I believe it has some charts on the sides just in case. But it's basically a heavy industrial mining ship. So that's pretty much all it is. And then what do we have here? Oh, the Apollo Triage. So this is a ship that people have been waiting on for a long time. I've got a different version of the Apollo. There's another Apollo called the Apollo Medivac, which is a slightly heavily armored version of this. Slightly more armored, I should say. I believe it features an extra turret, maybe. So this front section is a big glass canopy. And the idea is this back ramp opens. And then inside there's two sections with medical beds. But you're supposed to be able to decide which beds you want. So like you could have your choices are one tier 1 medical bed, which is the highest tier, and this is per side, so you could have two of whatever these options are, or mix and match. So you could have one tier 1, you could have two tier 2s, or three tier 3s. And currently with how respawning in this game works, having a bunch of smaller tier beds could be better for like respawning a whole group of players, but being able to have at least one tier 1 medical bed is very powerful, because if you get serious injuries, then it's either that or go to the hospital at a maid city, so you're gonna want access to that tier 1 medical bed. But that's all it really is. It's just a dedicated medical shuttle, or medical ship, you could say, just because of how nice those beds are, but it's not a very large ship. It's kind of just a large shuttle. So hopefully we're gonna get that next year, actually. It's been teased in some of the material. Alright, let's move it along to the next part of the show. Also, we might need a little bit of food here. Don't want to heal over halfway. Also, keep in mind, if your food goes too low, you will start to see double. They do a chromatic aberration effect where all the colors sort of separates, or specifically red and blue, I believe. Sort of split, and then And then, yeah. Okay, let's go drink something before we die.
Hi. Let me know if there's anything I can help
Okay,
you
so we'll
with.
start with one of these synergies. Highly recommend them. And you can see while it's almost entirely hydration, it does give a little bit of food. But in terms of food, we're going to want
Nice to see
something
you again.
highly nutritious. So I recommend the golden medmuns. These are very, very
Just got a few new-
nutritious.
Smart buy. Welcome back.
There we go. The first one didn't actually count.
Good purchase. Hey, back again, I see.
Look at that.
Welcome.
That takes us all the way practically. All right, so let's move on to the side hall. We have the typical expo hall flair. This is a beautiful sight. Alright, let's start with the Scorpius. We'll start with the standard Scorpius and then we'll look at the Antares. And Antares. So, Scorpius, this is, first of all, full disclosure, this is my favorite heavy fighter. It's got a adaptable bi-wing configuration, revolutionary rail-mounted remote turret, and it basically looks like an X-wing. So it's got 16, I believe these are size 3 missiles, or are they size 2? I'm not sure. But there's component access on the outside of the ship. I think they might have broken it recently though. But all these things open, like this is where the shield comes down. The coolers are on the wings. Power plant down here. Also, we can't access it because it's the display ship, but if you look here, we actually have storage. So you can definitely store guns and armor and things that you find while you're out and about with a Scorpius. And there's 2 of them, there's one on each side. And they have separate storage space. So you can actually store quite a bit on this thing. Alright, let's get aboard. So there's 2 seats, but we're going to go into the pilot seat. I guess we can look at the other seat in a minute too. But here is that similar sort of design of that, the glass and the canopy. But excellent views in this thing. And even some decent downward angle. The ship actually folds up pretty well here, because normally these wings all go out to the sides, and it takes up quite a bit more space than what we see here. Now, as the pilot, you only get these guns on the wings. These are 4 size 3 guns. But when we get computer blades eventually, you'll be able to slap one of them in there, and then the turret that's on top, it will be quote-unquote slaved to the pilot guns. And what that means is that when you fire with your normal weapons, the turret will also fire, and the turret will be locked forward, and turrets tend to have a bit of an fire sort of zone. So long as the target's within the zone, it automatically aims properly for you. And turrets also hold a lot more shot ammo usually. So this makes this vehicle way more potent once we get the computer blades. And it makes it a single person ship instead of needing 2 people. But right now, since we don't have computer blades, we would actually need a second person if we want to operate the turret. But again, even without that, it's still a great ship. They real with the pilot seat. Darn it. There is one other fancy thing that the ship can do. If you're in the turret seat, which I'm trying to get to, you can actually rotate the turret to the bottom rear of the ship. It was never really formally described what this is for, but there's a couple of potential uses. One is for attacking things on the ground when you're flying away. This is actually shown in one of the promotional images. The other is simply if you're doing dogfighting and somebody is chasing you, you could potentially try to fly in more of a straight line, so they have to chase behind you, and then the rear turret can fire directly at them. And they won't be able to really dodge that while staying on your rear. So here's the back. It feels kind of cozy because the top covers you here, and you just have these side windows and just one MFD. So I just right, you see how it's currently at the top there? If we go ahead and hit deploy now, you can see it rotate to the back and go down. So that's the alternative configuration for the turret. And like I say, if you're flying up at an angle away from an area, these can fire like down at the ground, or if just somebody's chasing you. Also, what's great about this ship is that if you lose all 4 wings, you can still completely fly without any problems. There are no thrusters on the wings. That being said, once we get control surfaces in the game, it might be a different story when you're flying in atmosphere. You might need those. So this ship is practically identical. The only real difference is that the gunner seat, instead of having a turret, you just have access instead to an EMP and a quantum travel blocker. And you can kind of see that on the top here. That's what this fancy ring thing is. So the promotional video of this of the Scorpius Centauri being used, they had 2 different teams of Scorpius Centauri, and one flew past and did an EMP, and then the second one flew past and did a second EMP. And then what they did was they took down the shields of ships with the first EMP, and then the second EMP right after shut down the ships themselves. And you could do that in game. If you have a friend and you're both flying these and you have gunners, quote unquote, for both ships, then you can do that maneuver yourself, and it does work. Alright, now we have one of the most popular ships in the game, especially because this is one of the older vessels, and many people bought these. So we have a bunch of different versions. This is the exploration version, I believe. The Aquila Expedition, right? So this one actually has a unique front glass panel here. Where you can see it's rounded. Anyway, let's go aboard for a second. These ships are pretty interesting. So you get this little airlock elevator. And then here we go. You have a nice little seating area with a table if you want it. You have a bathroom. Many a hobo have hidden in this bathroom, so be careful. I think these are meant to be lockers, storage lockers, but this ship is so old that this was built before we had internal spaces for dragging your items. Here's the cockpit. It features a turret, actually upper and lower turret, both accessible from the same spot. And then 3 well-apportioned chairs. And then we'll look at the view here from the central chair. And there you go. This is the view you'd be working with. Not everyone can handle this view because of the struts, but I think it's certainly doable. And some people really love it, actually. So as we move back here, we have the beds. And these beds actually double as the, what do you call them? Escape pods. So you would escape pod from your bed, basically. So here's the cargo section. Now, there's a bit of hubris going on with just how visible all these missiles are. That's a lot of missiles. Also has some airlocks on either side. These will likely have to be redone someday, but the whole ship's gonna get redone. Because there's not currently any way to access components. They're all just like placeholder. And then what's interesting is that these ships actually have what's called a parasite craft. This is a mini ship built into the ship. Let's go ahead and get in there and see if we can get a good third-person view. So here it is. You see this ship right here? This thing is attached right at the back of the constellation. And all of these have it except for the constellation that's focused on cargo. And actually the luxury version has a slightly different version of this ship, which these are ballistic guns, I believe, and at least the nose gun. It's kind of hard to show where it is. Okay, but basically there's a nose gun. And the one on the luxury ship, it just got a laser version of that central cannon. Alright. Let's see what we got next. So the Andromeda, this is the most purchased version of the ship. one of the really great things about all of these ships, you see the size of these guns here? These are size 5 repeaters, I believe. Which is really serious firepower. Oh yeah, so wait, here's the luxury version. With the luxury version of this ship. With the dual guns on the sides. Strap there. This ship also features these VTOL engines, which is very useful. Lets you basically, it's not a matter right now, but like eventually your thrusters will overheat, and if you want to hover for a while, you need VTOL engines. So these VTOL engines allow you to hover, and all of these constellations have these. Actually, we should go aboard the Phoenix. The Phoenix does have a very different interior. Alright, so the bridge looks very similar. Obviously, they changed the seats. Is all the same. But now we enter the world of luxury. So, first of all, it has these individual beds. Besides that, there's a whole bunch of sit-down chairs. Yelling me you can't handle like the reverse counter or whatever. So then you just have the right seat that you want to sit in. And it has its own bar with its own granite top. Yeah. Just a collection of alcohol we can't use. Now look at these windows. These windows are incredible. And above as well. So that's what this ship was really for. Touring the verse. And also this fish tank. This is the hot cub. So yeah, it's cargo stuff hidden back here. It has probably one of, if not the largest bed in the game. And what's interesting is you see this window here. It's like a one-way window basically. So you can view your dirty stuff in private. Alright, I have a feeling this but never mind. Anyway, we go back here and we have the fancier version of the parasite craft. It's exactly the same, just like I said, energy weapons. This is where the cargo goes. Through this, very hidden that way. This is supposed to have a scanning shielding so that if you're bringing cargo aboard this ship, it shouldn't be scannable. There's a lot of OSHA violations on this. But anyway, that's the Phoenix. Basically a luxury touring ship. But still very, very powerful with those guns. You never want to underestimate the DPS that these ships can put out. So here's the common version that everybody buys, the Andromeda. I'm not sure exactly why it's the best version. I think it probably has like the most missiles and the biggest guns or something. And then this one, a Taurus. This is just cargo, maybe? Yeah, freight. Come on, listen. Alright, so you can see the same bridge as usual. The rest here all the same. But look at this, it has even more cargo space here. Huge cargo. More cargo. And instead of a snubcraft, just cargo space. That's how important cargo space is to the cargo people. So just give us the space, they would say. Sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, there's also docking ports on the ship. And what's fun is that we can kind of just jump out of this and then stand on the ship. Real cool. So yeah, these ships are very, very strong. Cannot be underestimated. And they all carry a lot of cargo and a decent vehicle like an RSI rover. Can't go wrong with any of these. But the nicest bridge is this version with the rounded front. But I think they're gonna come back, and they do need to redo these ships, and I think they're all gonna become a lot better. The Constellation series. Alright, so finally we can get to the last piece of the puzzle. Oh, what? This map hasn't been updated here. More bugs. But yeah, we can get to the final piece of the puzzle, the Polaris. And I'll try not to drag my feet on this one. Let's go pretty quick on this one. And this is fun because we're coming in at an angle, so we can really see just the gigantic size of this Polaris. So it features 2 main engines and 4 auxiliary engines. Here, this door is concealing a side turret, and there's one on each side. This one here and one on the other side. And these turrets are 4 times size 3 Panthers. These are anti-fighter turrets. It features a giant expanding ramp here on both sides. I don't know if it's gonna let us open the hangar. The Frontier features a bespoke ballistic turret, and these ballistic cannons are size 6 guns. So these are pretty serious guns up here. Up top, right above us, we can't really see it, but right up top there are 2 more turrets, and those are quad turrets as well, but they're quad size 4 cannons by default. The main thing to know is that cannons fire slower but do more damage, and also recharge their shots slower. They're really for taking out larger vessels, and repeaters are really made for the fighters and the squirrely stuff. And then besides the conventional guns, it has missiles and torpedoes, which we'll get to in a minute. And it has PDTs, point defense turrets, 7 of them. It has 4 at the bottom and 3 at the top, and these automatically shoot down missiles and torpedoes with pretty decent accuracy, and they're also eventually going to shoot down fighters too. So let's go first straight to the bridge and talk about the bridge. So here is the bridge. Incredible visibility all around. This is the pilot chair. Pilot has no weapons other than these missiles, 16 size 3 missiles. You see 8 on this side, 8 on the other. The co-pilot, they don't have access to very much, except they can also fly the ship from this position with their joysticks, but they also have a camera which lets them see into the hangar. It's the hangar bay. And then you see these things right here. These are like little blast shields. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to this panel here. So this middle one opens and closes the roof of the hangar, and in these ones engage the blast shields. Wait, let's see. Did it actually do it? No, it's not doing it because it's a display model. But normally these things will push upward and they'll go straight vertical, and they prevent blasts from ships taking off or landing. But I think they could also double as a cover in case people are trying to board your ship from your hangar. Now, what's really cool is there's a radar that appears right here, which is between the 2 main seats, and is also very easily visible from the captain's chair here. So it's right in the middle here, and the captain's chair, you can see target markers for all sorts of things, and you can click on stuff to designate targets for the rest of the ship. You also have 2 MFDs, I would say mainly for seeing your ship status and controlling power levels. What I'd like to see is, I'd like to see the captain's chair have access to cameras all throughout the ship and on the exterior of the ship. That would give the captain way more situational awareness, which I think would make the seat more valuable. So hopefully we can see something like that from TIG. We have these rear seats as well. Now these control the rear turrets of the ship. There's a rear quad turret at the back bottom, which is an anti-fighter turret. This is it right here. It's pretty decent, but it's all just rear and down facing. And then in the other chair, we actually have access to a missile turret. I believe it holds either 12 or 16 size 2 missiles. And the point is really just if fighters are trying to like chase the Polaris, you can, make that a bit more annoying by firing missiles directly right back at them. And there is the turret there. So it looks like it's 12 size 2 missiles. If we rotate downward a bit, there's the turret down below. If we go back up, you can see the PDT right there. The point defense turret. It's right at the rear of this hangar. And there's also more. So if we look, it's hard to kind of point it out from this view, but there's 2 at the front here of the PDTs. So 2 in the front, 1 in the back, and then on the underside, we have a PDT right at the top of the screen. There's another one in the bottom middle area down here somewhere. And then there's also, so another one on the other side. And then the 4th final one is at the rear. There it is, right at the very top of the screen. So all of these PDTs give sort of a 360 range access to these point defense turrets. You're not going to have them all firing at the same time, but this gives you coverage from all directions. And they're pretty effective. They don't need any control whatsoever. Also, while we're in this view, there's a bit of transformation that happens. When you take off and you raise the landing gear, the engines change configuration. These top things kind of go down. The wings come out. There's a little wing on the front here that comes out on both sides. So there's quite a bit of transformation that happens. Anyway, let's continue the tour. We have displays here. These are all placeholder, but you can see tactical and security. This will be very important for like managing where people are aboard the ship and maybe locking doors if you have boarders. Here you have science and communications. This will be good for A, seeing what the atmospheric conditions are before you get out of your ship, and then B, I guess communications will allow you to contact other ships directly from here. It'd be very nice. So we have this section where we have this. These are basically for the blades eventually. These are the computers. Avionic computers. These, we don't know for sure, but the speculation that these are where some batteries go. Emergency power. Here we have a mapping cable, which is useful for not only exploring places and setting up routes of where you want to go for the pilot to go, but in a battle you can see all the different ships and where they are in real time and positions, and you could, from a ship like this, you could guide an entire fleet by getting a good view of all of the action. But this is currently not in game, so this is just a placeholder. But it's going to be amazing someday. Here we have escape pods for the bridge crew. Although there's 8 and the bridge crew is really only 5. But presumably we'll have even more. As we move onward, we have the main elevator that we took. And then we have the armory. Lots of guns here. Basically rifles, then pistols, and then your tools go at the top, like the multi-tools and the medical guns. You also have space for heavy weapons, although currently I found that only the front 2 here work. The side ones currently don't work, but eventually you'll have access for 6 heavy weapons, which is generous. There's a bench here for some reason. I would have liked to have seen a table of chairs, or maybe some storage lockers for just holding like attachments and ammo. We have a bunch of suit lockers. A bunch of suit lockers, so like, you know, most of the crew can have a suit locker. As we continue onward, we have what's gonna be access to the captain's room and hopefully an exo office as well. But as you can see, currently it's locked and there's actually nothing beyond this door. It's still being worked upon. And there's some speculation as to why they're still working on the captain's room. My speculation is that they want to do something special with the room. Maybe from the captain's office you can access different cameras throughout the ship. I'd like to see something like that. So here we have the two top turrets. Let's go ahead and get in one of these real fast. These turrets on the top have a really excellent visibility and access. They can fire directly ahead at your main target. Is this pointed backwards or forwards? Let's see, can we turn it on? Yeah, I don't think we can turn it on, unfortunately. And it's not going to rotate without us turning it on. But very, very good access in this turret. It can really see a lot. And these are very powerful. These are, again, 4 size 4 guns just in this one seat. And then when you put both of the turrets on the top together, that's 8. That's a lot of DPS. And it can go straight ahead, which is great. Alright, as we continue on, we have the mess hall. Really simple. We have seating for 12. We have a nice long food accessing bar here. And I like here at the bottom of the floor, it's basically showing you like you start here and you get your items and you move down the row until you're done. And then that kind of keeps things orderly. Very militaristic, I love it. There's a nice little seating area here. Would have been nice to have some kind of window access or maybe a button to like move like a blast plate out of the way so that you can have windows when you're not in combat. But no windows, basically. We should have gotten a pool table, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I want my pool table CIG. We also have this little area here with a TV. Currently doesn't do anything, but someday there will be cool things that we can watch in the verse. They'll just the fuse box. And speaking of fuse boxes, let's go to this one for a second. What's nice is that these are covered, so you can't just directly shoot the fuses out. And if you're boarding the ship and you're trying to like fire on this, again, you're not going to be able to shoot out any fuses. So that gives you a measure of protection, which is nice. On this other side, from the mess hall, we have the habitation. In here, there are beds enough for 12 people. Somehow we have NPCs in here, which is funny. Let's go to a different room, which is not occupied. Here we go. So we have 2 bunk beds. Each have their own screen, which is pretty cool. They have their own little trays for keeping some items. But they also have personal storage. These are storage lockers with their own inventories. You have a seat where you can also put some other cool stuff on these little surfaces. Each of these 2-person bunk rooms has its own bathroom. and it has a working camera mirror. Originally, these mirrors had a little camera bump at the top, but they got rid of that, it looks like. What else? It has the shower. It has the toilet that pops out. Everything you'd expect. But again, it's very militaristic, so it's clean, but it's not overly done. There's not a whole lot of luxury, but because it's a very modern military ship, everything looks a bit more science-y, sci-fi, and clean compared to a lot of older vessels. And you get a little bit of green here, which is nice. Alright, as we continue down the hallway, we get to a junction here. And both of these rooms, you see the mess hall and the habitation, open up to this big hallway. Straight ahead is the hangar, as you can see. But also you see there's these two colored lines. So we have blue line for med bay, orange for brake, and then a hangar straight ahead, as we said. There's also emergency ladder rooms, and these ladders go straight down to the lower section. And then also on either side, there are these airlocks for a docking color. So you can dock the ship on either side. Here's the access for the anti-fighter turret. So let's go ahead and check this out for a second. So these are actually protected turrets because there's these doors that open up on the outer hull. As you can see, they're opening for us now. And then the turret goes forward, and then you can see ourselves right here. This is the turret that we just stuck out of. Now, I don't, again, think we're going to be able to move it around unless we can turn it on, because it is a motorized turret. But it has actually really good angling, including straight down, which is really useful. Straight up and down. Up and down is useful not only for ships that are trying to attack, like sides that are hard to reach, but also because you could use these turrets to kill people on the ground, or vehicles on the ground. Very, very useful. Let's get out of the turret. Everything closes up nicely to protect the turret. I love a ship that conceals its guns. Alright, we have more escape pods, easy access. And then we're going to come to medical here on the side. Here we are, medical. There are 4 medical beds. These are tier 2. So these actually can heal more injuries. And in the current version of the game, it means that you can regenerate from a farther distance than the tier 3 beds. Now, the medical station here is supposed to have cameras that look into both of these rooms, but currently bugged. This is yet to be fixed. Also, these hold your medical guns, so you can hold 3 medical guns in here. Really great for convenient medical gun access. Okay, so we're gonna sort of cheat and run across the hangar, but while we're here, just get a feel for how large this hangar is. This cool blue light that's going around the side is actually an air barrier, so you won't actually have to depressurize the hangar. The energy field keeps the oxygen inside of the hangar, so it's just a really, really cool feature. Now, here we have fuel tank storage. So this is supposed to allow you to refuel ships. The hangar is actually meant to have the facilities for rearm, repair, and refuel a medium fighter, medium heavy fighter, or whatever. So this will hold a Polaris, no problem. And in fact, I'm planning to hold a Polaris, and a C8X for away missions. The reason for this is when you're going long term into Pyro, and you don't want to have to stop at the fuel ports where pirates are going to be watching and attacking ships all the time, what you do is you don't bother to go into atmosphere, because hovering and flying into atmosphere and out of in and out of atmosphere will use a lot of hydrogen fuel, whereas if you can just stay in space, like in orbit around the planet, and then send your away team with some shuttles, it's way more efficient that way, especially once you can refuel it. Also, while we're here, there are elevators. These go right down to the hangar. I'm sorry, the cargo. And the whole point of this is that you can bring repair materials or missiles and ammo, so that you can use those materials to take care of the needs of your fighter ship that you're refueling or repairing. Also, by the way, this is the PDT turret. That's what it looks like. And here is the camera that we used from the bridge to see what was going on in the hangar bay. So I have a feeling, you see these circles here? I have a feeling these are where we're gonna see hardware for doing repair. Like there's probably gonna be arms here which come out and do the repairs on a ship, maybe? Something like that. Now the door for the hangar can also be operated from this lever. There's one on either side, but it's basically a pull lever, and then this closes the giant doors. Now the doors, you see they go along this section up here, and this shows you that there's actually a hump here. This extra space above the air shield will allow you to fit all sorts of vehicles that otherwise would not have been able to fit. So you can get things even as large as a Bandit Defender in here. It'll only just fit, but it does fit. So really, really great. Really great design. Anyway, onto the brig. So the brig is going to be very similar to the medical in that its design is, two sides with a station in the middle. And here we can see the working cameras. And then I've actually seen different players test these, and they are fully working. Now there's two cells. These are great. People cannot break out of them. If you put a player in here and you close it, they will be stuck. But they have a bed, they have a toilet, they have a sink. But what's really brilliant is this thing here. So let's say you need to feed your prisoner, and they're like, "Hey, give me my food and drink." You're like, "Okay." So then you come over here and you place the food and drink in this little cubby hole, and then you push the button to close this side, and it opens their side, and they can grab specifically the food or item that you placed in here, and nothing more. So highly convenient for working with a prisoner. I don't think that's going to be necessary for dealing with NPCs, so that's really much more of a roleplay feature, perhaps. But either way, I love it. This is definitely a necessity for a proper secure cell. And we've been ignoring it throughout the ship, the different lights, but you can set the lighting in here. The red is particularly great, I feel like, if you have the cell occupied and they're particularly dangerous. And maybe this auxiliary you use if you're just, for some reason, using the cell as an extra bed for passengers for some reason. Anyway, if we continue to the back, then sorry again, this is so long of a tour. There's just so much to see in this ship, isn't there? So, anyway, at the back here, we have access to the engineering. So you can see it comes and wraps around. Here we have life support system. We have jump drive and quantum drive. I'm sorry, just the jump drive, I think. Quantum drive is actually a big sucker. Here we have the gravity generator. Here we have something else, but we have no idea what it is. Makes you think of a cloaking device, but that's not a feature. Cloaking is not in the game. Here we have the main chief engineer console, and from here you can have a decent view of the main systems and also see how the other engineers are working or not working. And then there's an elevator that goes from above all the way down to the bottom. And so we can call it from any of the levels, but we're gonna go ahead and take it to the bottom now. And so it says cargo because we're gonna be going toward the cargo area, but this is clearly the engineering spot right here. So we have the reactor core. These are the power rods, the fuel rods. And then each of these stations has something interesting. So this is either an engine or a cooling pump system, maybe. And by the way, this is coolant down there that isn't water. Let's go down a little bit closer. In my first look, I actually jumped down in there, and it's something like a negative 160 degrees Celsius. So, and there's no way to get out of there, so don't jump down there. Anyway, moving along, we have this middle section. I'm gonna guess that this is a shield generator. Who knows though? And then this front piece here, this is the quantum drive, I believe. So in one of our recent sessions, in fact last Friday, we were flying the Polaris and we took enough damage that this went red and this thing stopped rotating and it completely died. We couldn't quantum anywhere. Alright, here we are into the cargo bay. It's actually quite spacious. And there's no cargo that goes down the middle. So even if you fill out these science, you still have really good movement access here. It does have an internal tractor beam, size 2, and you access it right over here. And here it is. It doesn't have great access to stuff that's outside of the ship, but you basically will just have your grunts throw it up onto the ramp, and then you grab it from the ramp there and put it where you need it to go. Pretty simple. Here, let's see if we can open these things. Alright, we can. Let's do both sides. And then here is where those emergency ladder rooms were that we saw up top. So these are just in case the gravity's gone. You can use those to go up and down. So here it is with the ramps open. This completely lets you drive a car on and off in a straight line even. So it allows you to just drive on, get repair and maintenance, and then drive off. Very, very nice. And it's super wide. It's not tall enough for a Nova tank, but barring that, it can hold almost anything, including spaceships. You can fit C8 Pisces ships in here. You can fit Merlins, which are those parasite craft from the Constellation series. You can get an M50 in here, no problem. A bunch of small ships all fit in here. So if you wanted to just fill it with more ships, you can do that. Especially if you take the Furies. Those tiny little Furies, you can have a ton of those in here. Okay, so here we have this sort of awkward elevator. This is for helping you get your torpedoes into these torpedo bays. So torpedoes have to be loaded manually. So you'll have the torpedoes here. You'll pull out your tractor beam gun. You'll carefully move it into place, and then it will latch into spot into place. This ship holds 28 size 10 torpedoes. That's the largest torpedoes in the game. So you come to this torpedo console, and we're not going to be able to turn it on, but if you turn it on, you'll see the torpedoes load into these tubes, and it'll also load into the ones behind you, but you won't see them unless you have eyes behind your head. But you'll see these right away. And then in order to fire the torpedoes, you actually use this remote camera underneath the nose, and from this station you have to either dummy fire or target and lock a ship, and then you can fire your torpedoes. Up to 4 at a time, but they do fire 1 at a time. If you're firing 4, they're not side by side simultaneous, and that's to prevent them from detonating next to each other, because if you fired a bunch of these torpedoes and if they're side by side, if one of them exploded, it would explode all the rest of them. So that kind of gives you more of a fighting chance for the torpedoes to make it. And then finally we have the front nose turret, and again this is the bespoke size 6 ballistic cannons. These hold 360 shots each, I believe. And there's either, oh wait, it says right there 300. So I guess there's 300 shots. But that's still quite a bit of damage. These pack a huge punch. Keep in mind ballistic shots, they do get weakened by shields, but a bunch of their damage go right through the shield, so ballistics are very powerful. And that's pretty much it for the Polaris. It is a incredible ship, capable of doing all sorts of missions, but these torpedoes are not an instant I win button. As we're seeing with the Save Saturn event, you actually have to take down capital ships bit by bit, and that includes the Polaris, this one as well. If you wanted to kill a Polaris, you need to weaken the shields, then you need to shoot out the PDTs, and then you need to fire torpedoes into it. Alternatively, you can damage other components of the ship. You can actually target the engines and break all of them off. But it takes quite a bit of damage because, again, this is a behemoth of a ship. So, I highly recommend that you rent this Polaris. Just come up to the console here, and you can hold F, and then bang, you have 2 days to play with the Polaris. And you can see here, nimble Corvette class capital ship. It is nimble compared to ships of its size, and it's meant to be. And it's really just designed for all sorts of missions, whatever you want, basically. But as it says here, it includes the facilities to repair, rearm, and refuel. So while that hasn't been built into the hangar properly yet, that is coming later. So don't worry about that. Also, this is a giant front headlight. And when you're parked, this thing generally shoots out a bunch of light in different directions, so it is a big deal. Alright, and with that, I think we're done with RSI Day, aren't we? If you're a new player coming to try the game, use this code I have at the bottom of the screen. This will give you more credits. But basically, come and tune in for the next day, and we'll check out more ships together. If you're looking to hang out live, I live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm on Twitch. You can find me under the name darkangel_Scarlet. Hope to see you there. Good night, everyone.